What up, though? This is Knockouts in 3 Counts. But before we bring you another episode of Podcast Gold, let me tell you about the homies over at Michigan's Finest. Do you ever find yourself trying to get yourself together and thinking, man, this is going to be a great night, but I'm looking for that little extra something? Well, check out our friends at Michigan Finest. If you are into medical marijuana, recreational marijuana, concentrates, vapes, anything of that sort, Michigan's Finest has got you covered. And as you can see here, it's all easily done by their website. It's all curbside, and you'll be in and out in 2 minutes. And they're family owned and operated, so customer service is their number one goal. And now, since they are rocking with Knockouts in 3 Counts, use the code KO3MF. Yes, that's KO3MF. You get 10% off your entire order, but that does exclude featured items and items that are already on sale. But if you use that code, you're getting 10% off your items, and I promise you, either if you're looking for that big knockout or you're ready to hit the sheets for that 3 count, Michigan's Finest will get you together. Tell them Knockouts in 3 Counts sent you, and I promise you, you're going to be having a great night. Peace.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts in 3 Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts in 3 Counts is the podcast dating to the real deal, baby!
Knockouts in 3 Counts starts now.
What up, no? It is another Thursday, and unfortunately, I got to go back to slinging the damn mail tomorrow. But with that being said, there's good fights this weekend. UFC 287. I have been playing a little bit of that WWE 2K23, so for all of you guys who are asking me to fill you in on my thoughts on that, I'll do that as well. But with that being said, how the hell y'all doing on a Thursday?
Doing good, man. Let's go.
Hanging in there, ready for this pay-per-view this weekend. That's for damn sure. Got some PFL fights tomorrow to kind of keep the mind preoccupied on the build to the actual fights. But other than that, man, ready to get this weekend rolling.
Yeah,
man. Big fight weekend. I'm ready for it.
That last fight was a hell of a fight, and I don't know. That's got to be a hell of a mind fuck for Izzy going into this fight to know that he's been knocked out twice by that dude. And the last time he was whooping his ass for 4.5 rounds before he got caught. But I mean, that being said, headshot bang. I mean, that seems it might be the wave of the future. But yeah, man, it's a lot to talk about when we got UFC 287. We're going to get into that in a little bit. We've also, like I said, are going to talk a little bit about WWE 2K23. For those of you guys who asked my thoughts on that game and my run through on that, I just finished one of the My Rise modes, the lock one. I'll talk a little bit about that, my thoughts on that. And, we got new tag champs in FTR in AEW. I mean, J-Bone, before we get into 2K23, man, do you think, I don't know, maybe this is a bit of a stretch, but do you think with FTR winning the tag titles over there in AEW, do you think it's a sign of people like, Vince is back? I don't know if I want to go back over there, or do you think it's maybe they were never going from AEW in the first place?
Yeah, maybe not, maybe. But, hey, I don't blame them. I mean, dude, at this point, it's like we always say that where there's smoke, there's fire type of thing. So, like, just the rumor, nobody's even said for sure that Vince is back running things, but, like, just the rumor of him being back has caused so much negative shit. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't want nothing to do with it if it were me. You know what I mean? So remains to be seen what happens there. But yeah, definitely the timing on that. Definitely something's weird there. It could have a connection. We'll see, man. I don't know.
It's definitely a little interesting, that's for sure. But I don't know. Interesting.
It could be a stretch. We could be reaching here, but
like I said, it could be a stretch. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, Tony Khan's got to know what he's got in FTR. FTR is one of the greatest tag teams in the world, bar none. There's no arguing that. There's no debate on that. And now they have the tag champs when in reality, I don't think anybody were really getting behind the guns anyway. I'm glad to see FTR with the main strap in AEW again because I think if they're not the best tag team, they're top 2 tag teams at all times in AEW, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
All right, J-Bone, you have gotten to hop into WWE 2K23 a little bit. What are your thoughts thus far? How do you like the graphics? What have you played so far? What are you going to get into?
The graphics, dude, are dope. Actually, it's upgraded. I haven't played it on the PS5 yet, so I'm playing on the PS4, but graphics-wise, movement-wise, complete game engine, everything has clearly been improved, so that's pretty cool. But I started to play the John Cena mode. What is this called again?
The showcase.
Showcase, yeah. So that's fun. I mean, I've not got far in it, but I would. I don't want to tell everybody that I'm not a John Cena fan, but don't tell anybody I'm not really a John Cena fan. But yeah, kind of wish it was somebody else.
You said John Cena sucks?
I sing that song all the time, just so we're clear.
That's cold,
bro.
I got it. Can you hate on the Make-A-Wish guy?
I know it's hard, man, but I'm a fan. I can make my own opinions. Damn it. The GM mode, I'm gonna get into that a little more. That's kind of hard right now. It's a little rough start to that, but hey, I'm a good GM. We're gonna find out.
And Wardlow. I met Wardlow this past week in LA, Chris. He's a really cool fucking dude.
If we're talking Cena real quick, I feel the same way you do with his in-ring and mic shenanigans and stuff. But when you're talking the actual guy that is John Cena, even his acting and stuff, like he's pretty funny in some of the movies that he's been in and stuff. Like you can see he doesn't take himself too seriously and stuff. So as he's gotten older, I can definitely appreciate him a lot more than I used to when he was an actor.
It's really hard to hate the guy for real.
Yeah.
It's like,
but if you're playing said wrestling version and going through all the old days of wristbands and can't see this shit, well, you maybe you don't want to see that shit again,
Exactly, man. Seeing it for 20-something years.
Chris, what modes have you played in 2K23? I enjoyed the showcase though, because it was a lot of. Only thing that I didn't understand is like the timeline of it made no fucking sense. Like they jumped around so much that I just was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Like what the fuck?
Didn't they do some weird thing where you're like playing as his opponents or something?
Yeah, you play against Cena in all those until you get to the last match, in the very last match of the showcase.
Maybe that's what I obviously haven't played it, so I don't know necessarily, but maybe that's why the jumping around is because you're actually playing the matches he actually lost in between those.
Yeah, but I'm saying the timeline in which they happened is what I'm saying though. Like they were that was all over the fucking place. Like I was like,
it'll be like a more current match, and then you'll jump back to the beginning.
Like the first match you play. So the first match you play in there is as Rob Van Dam against him at ECW One Night Stand. That's in 2006. The second match is when you face Kurt Angle and he smacks the shit out of him and says ruthless aggression, and that's in fucking 2002.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it was like all over the fucking place. It didn't make that part didn't really make any sense.
Yeah, agreed.
I got you now.
I'm gonna play it out. I at least
it's dope. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I agree with everything you said. I think the gameplay was way better. I think I definitely feel like it plays a lot smoother. And the graphics are definitely a little better in this one. I feel like I definitely got to give 2K credit for taking that little bit of time off. You can definitely tell they tweaked some shit in there because the last two games have both been pretty good. And then
War Games too. I forgot to mention that.
I had to play that in the lock show in the My Rise.
Yeah. War Games is fun as hell. I love that.
Yeah. So that's a good segue into the My Rise part, dude, because I had to so as the lock, you go through, and like I was telling you, so you start out, you win championship, and then you end up getting kicked out of WWE. Well, so once you get kicked out of WWE, you go through Britain and you have to do the British rules matches, and then you go to Mexico and you're in a feud with Legado Los Starios, which is the Angel Garza in them, and then Santos Escobar, part of the new LWO. And then you go to Japan and you wrestle in the Japan Dome that looks like the Tokyo Dome, and then Japan Hall, which is like Corrigan Hall. So it's got a lot of cool shit. So you go through there and do all this stuff, and then like there's different little story arcs, because at one point you're wrestling against Drew McIntyre in a 2 out of 3 falls match. But then you get back to the main roster because you wrestle. Your coach gets you a chance at the UK title, and then you win the UK title and shit. And so then you basically force your way back in. And then the guy that originally turns on you whatever faction you choose, I like the story to it. So like you play through it and it's got some story to it. You ultimately end up in making your own faction, which I chose. My faction was I did it because I originally chose Evolution, so I thought it was interesting to have one of the original members of Evolution in it. So I had me and Batista and Matt Riddle
Nice.
were grouped, and we fucked up Randy Orton, the guy who was your other partner, and then Braun Breaker.
There you go.
And those motherfuckers teamed up with the Hurt Business, so they also had Omos and MVP and all them. So it was like one big gang fight. It was some bullshit, but yeah, War Games was definitely cool. I definitely would give the My Rise Lock story a thumbs up. Like I said, I enjoy the stories of it, man. If you guys are watching this, you guys are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like button, follow button. We're going to be joined by Darren McCarty, fresh off of his match tonight with Bully Ray, as he teams up with Tommy Dreamer and Yuya Uemura against Bully Ray and the Good Hands. He'll be live with us this Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern to talk about going to war on Impact. And a birdie told me that it's went well for D-Mac, so there will be a lot to talk about. And I am fresh off of my trip to LA for WrestleMania, so a lot to talk about there. And there will be a lot of good guests coming that way too, and some from Impact as well. But yeah, all in all, I've enjoyed it so far. I still got to play that other story mode on there, but gameplay is pretty good. I haven't played online too much yet, but maybe we ought to get down and see who can get at it on there, because it's crossplay. Come give me the fucking work right quick.
Do it. Let's do it.
It's all, motherfuckers. But if you did your deal on your taxes with the homies at G3 Payroll and Tax, you'd have a little bit of extra scratch to bet this weekend at UFC 287. Make sure you check out G3 Payroll and Tax. They can handle you on all your accounting needs, all that good stuff. Tell them Knockouts and 3 Count sent you.
I mean, you talk about for betting purposes, Kyle, but people need that extra money nowadays just to be able to watch the damn fights. They don't need, let alone the
This is true. This is true, man. This is true.
Tell me about it. We're buying every one of them.
Yeah, no kidding.
Dana, I'm just saying, bro. If you want to slide one of them codes in my DMs,
like, if you're going to buy all the events throughout the year, or like a 6-month package or something like that,
that
like
would be dope.
Ticket holder thing, like.
Didn't they do that originally when the app first launched? Didn't they do that? Like, you buy the full year and you get so many pay-per-views or something like that? Or was it you buy the full year and you get a pay-per-view with it or something like that? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think they were doing it that way, and I think the majority of what I remember was if you purchased the pay-per-view, you would get either a year or 6 months or something of the actual ESPN Plus. So,
times are tough,
it's just
man.
interesting. And before, I guess that'll be an interesting topic to throw before we just jump right into the fights aspect of it, is that with all this stuff that's came out about the whole purchasing of WWE and the fact that they're now kind of merged into one company, I've heard a lot in the last couple days now about the media rights for both companies being up in the next like year and a half. Both of them are going to be available while being under the same roof. I mean, what do we think we end up seeing? Do we think we end up seeing like some WWE, UFC network where it's just you pay through them to watch all the fights, or are they going to go through the likes of a ESPN again or something like that? Because I kind of feel like, as well as the ESPN UFC partnership has been, I feel like it's really been a huge success for the UFC. I feel like with the things they kind of have in motion now, they have so many of the 18 to 30 demographic kind of eaten out of their palm of their hand, that if they start up their own thing where it's a lot harder to pirate off of and stuff like that, I feel like that would probably help their sales and stuff like that too. I don't know, man.
Could be right.
It's an interesting dynamic for them both to be purchased now under the same roof and both to have arguably one of the biggest media contracts out there besides like NFL and NBA, and you have both of them going up at the same time. It's interesting. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
No, I mean, who's to say they don't start one big media, for themselves? You know what I mean? Like
that's what I'm saying.
WWE Network, It's definitely doable because ultimately it's not going to stop people from watching. We're just going to jump ship. You know what I mean? Like, let's face it. Yeah, we hate paying the money for it, but guess what? Here we are still watching. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like you're right. Like they could pretty much do whatever they want at this point. But
look at how many people
come back to the money.
Look at how many people they had sold on their not to interrupt, sorry, but look at how many people they had sold on their own network in the past with the WWE thing. And then they just immediately jump ship and they're like, oh yeah, everything's on Peacock. Yeah. And it's like, well, I just bought a year to this. What the hell?
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're on Peacock now. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I mean, ESPN,
and I feel like it's going to
be the biggest sporting outlet in the world. You know what I mean? Media wise. So
yeah,
maybe they bring it all under one umbrella.
That's what makes it interesting is, are you going to leave, or are you going to see the likes of wrestling finally on the biggest sports channel in the world? I mean, I know you'll see the occasional coverage for like a WrestleMania or something like that, but for the most part,
to be fair, Corey, it used to be on ESPN all the time with the AWA.
AWA was on there all the time.
Yeah, but
yeah, that's a good point.
It's interesting
about that. That could be part of the reason they're getting quote unquote into bed together, because hey, if we could start something bigger than ESPN, bigger than Peacock, for money purposes, like it's a great idea. And then hey, I wouldn't put it past Vince and Ari to do it. You know what I mean? So we'll see. That's a good point. Never thought about that one.
I mean, I think my personal thoughts from what I've seen so far, I think WWE may go back to a WWE Network type situation, but I think if it does, it's going to look a lot like what UFC Fight Pass looks like, in that you might be able to see some more of the indies or things like that on there. And then the big 5 pay-per-views, I think they're going to start charging for again. I think like the other pay-per-views, like the smaller ones, will be like the equivalent to like UFC Fight Nights. And then the other 5, I think, will be,
or maybe that'll be like the equivalent of UFC's ABC cards that they do like 3 times a year type of deal, something equivalent of that. And then, like you say, where like there's still some type of premium feel. There's a name attached. It's usually in a like premier location and stuff like that. But besides that point, it's still relatively free for the consumer. Yeah.
Well, I think the big 5 pay-per-views, so like WrestleMania,
no,
Royal
I get
Rumble,
what you're saying
Survivor
with those,
Series.
the WrestleMania.
Those are, I think they start charging for those the same way UFC does regular pay-per-views.
$85.99, bud.
Yeah,
Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
I mean, I hope it's not like
or
that.
They'll do the slow burn like they did to us, right? They'll draw you in. They're like, yeah, it was only $65 or $60 or some shit. And then every 2 months they're like, oh, it's only $5 more, man. It's not that big of a deal. It's only $5. And then 2 months later they're like, dog, it's $5 more, man. Come on, you got 5 on it, dude. Throw 5 more. It ain't no big deal.
What's $5?
Next thing you know,
on it.
Yeah, next thing you know, you're
$5.
fucking 2 years later, and it's gone up like $25 or something since the initial ESPN deal. So, yeah.
What is it now?
Hopefully for you,
79.95 for the pay-per-view, right? Is it
yeah.
74?
Hopefully for your guys' case, they don't do you guys that dirty. I mean, a $30, maybe even 50. 50, I feel like is the top end though. 50 is like when you're really pulling money out of people's pockets at $50.
Let's hope.
Well, we'll have to see what happens with this Endeavor deal and seeing how that works out for the pay-per-views. But
I know
speaking
a couple websites, boys. That's all I'm saying. But
KOB. But with that being said, we got pay-per-views to talk about. UFC 287 going down this weekend. I'm looking forward to, before we even get to the main card, I'm looking forward to seeing Michelle Waterson going back at it. Chris Curtis and Kelvin Gastelum is going to be a hell of a fight. It's crazy to think that Kelvin Gastelum is that low in the rankings. Not any disrespect to Chris Curtis, but I mean, Kelvin Gastelum was at like the top of the weight class for like the longest time, and now is kind of fighting his way back up.
I mean, he's in one of those spots, unfortunately. I love me some Kelvin Gastelum fights. I've always been a fan. And those couple ones where he doesn't go out there and perform always hurt my feelings a little bit. But when you see Gastelum, even win or lose, but you see him actually go out there and perform, that's always an entertaining fight. So,
yeah, it's a good fight to have on a prelim card, though. I'll tell you that. That's gonna be a banger, dude. That'd be fun to kick off the night, pretty much.
They definitely put it in a hell of a spot too. You know, with the closeout of the prelims. I'm expecting with the way the action man Chris Curtis fights. I believe between the two of them, it's going to be a hell of a fight. It sounds like a really fun fight. I'm hoping for Gaslam's sake that he can get the ball back in his court and kind of get one going for him. I like Chris Curtis a lot. I do, but I feel like Gaslam needs this one, man. He needs this one.
He does.
So how does he win then?
I feel like the way he always does, which is when he wins, it's like a slug him out, bang him out type of fight, and then he ends up winning by decision.
See, I don't know that that's.
I mean, he put out Bisping, but other. You don't feel like Gaslam's the more skilled out of those two? I feel like
I'm saying a bang him out fight doesn't work good against a guy like Chris Curtis, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but we're talking Gaslam here, bro. No, nobody takes him out unless you get his back and sub him real quick or something like that, like a Hermanson did or something. You know, like nobody just takes him out like that.
Okay, but a Gaslam who hasn't fought in, let's see.
It's been a while. It has been a while. That's very true.
Because it's not even showing up on UFC.com as a win or a loss on his last fight.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, there you go. His last fight was
was it against Cannonier, right?
Yeah, I'm looking.
August, like right that was like summer of 2021 or something like that, right? Pretty sure.
I got it right here. His last fight. Yeah, his last fight was. He hasn't fought in 2 years, bro.
Whew.
I mean, so
I'm just saying a bang out fight like that is against a guy like Chris Curtis, because if there's one thing he's shown is that he can counter fight very well.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Curtis has been very active too, so I feel like that
his timing is going to be hot.
Yeah, if ring rust is present with Gaslam, I feel like that could really affect it. I didn't realize that much time has gone by, man.
That's why I say, like, he's trying to fight his way back up, but because Chris Curtis is ranked above him now.
Gaslam was on a slide too. I was like, he lost 5 out of his last fights or something like that. The one
he was on a 2-fight skid. He lost to Cannonier and Whitaker. He had beat Ian Heinisch, and then before that, he was on a 3-fight losing streak to Hermanson, Till, and Adesanya.
So he's fighting elite fighters, but
that's what I mean. You look at all of those guys; those are all the killers of the killers, you know.
But we already know Dana don't give a shit about that.
He needs this
Yeah.
win.
But Gaslam has that factor of like, I'm going to keep this guy around because he's done really good things with us, and he's not washed.
Oh no,
or anything
he's
like
not.
that.
He's
And all
not.
those
No, no,
fights,
no, no, no. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that at all. I'm not saying even that if he
I mean-
loses this fight, he's on that. I'm just saying
Yeah,
he's coming off a 2-year layoff against a guy who's
Yeah.
been not just active but really active, and he's been finishing dudes
Mhm.
in that. So I feel like off of what you just said
But
with
we also
I was just saying, I just feel like off of what you said, even what you said with him wanting to be a bang about style against a guy like Chris Curtis, who, like we just said, is going to be slicker and likes to counterfight. Gastelum really better be on his P's and Q's. That being said, if he comes in there like Calvin Gastelum of old, sure, he can come in there and fuck Chris Curtis's life up. But I'm just saying, that's what makes this fight very interesting to me is the fact that the layoff.
Yeah.
He's also down in Arizona training with Henry Cejudo, who we all know is making his big return as well. So I feel
Definitely
like both
good
of them
quality
kind of
room.
coming into stride. Yeah, hit both of them coming into stride at the same time. You know, I believe Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo is the next pay-per-view, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's interesting, man. That layoff really does kind of throw a wrench in my thoughts, though, a little bit. It definitely like makes me kind of second guess it. But I feel like I
And
like
here's
Gastelum.
another crazy
I
thought,
like
right?
Gastelum. I want him to win.
Here's another crazy thought too, right? So we're talking about layoff. Chris Curtis has also got double the wins and only one more loss.
Oof. And he's won. I think I read earlier, he won 9 out of his last 10. That's some pretty good momentum going into a fight, man.
I am going with the action man on this one. I like Kelvin Gastelum, dude, but how many times do I got to say it on this show? Momentum, 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 and
does matter.
Something about that active shit, and he hasn't gotten caught or knocked out or anything. Like, it would be different if he was taking all these fights and just taking a shit ton of shots, but he hasn't really taken a ton of damage in these fights either.
Pieced him up
he caught some,
fights, so.
but I mean, he's not really been in a spot where he's really been dinged up or anything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he couldn't keep taking these fights. So for me, I'm gonna go with Chris Curtis on that one. Who you got on that one, J-Bone?
I'm going with Chris Curtis as well, man. It could be a quick night. I'm just saying, momentum is a thing. 2 years is a long time, so we'll see.
Then you've got Michelle Waterson versus Luana Pinheiro. You know, this is a big step up fight for Pinheiro because she's coming in at number 15 against the number 10 and well-known karate hottie Michelle Waterson. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm an old head, but I gotta go with the karate hottie on this one.
This is one of those fights where we kind of see, does the new age modern fighter catch up to the wise dog type of fight, right? Like Michelle Waterson always puts on entertaining fights. The true fan favorite. People love her for a reason, and it's not just like a looks thing or anything like that. Her fights are truly entertaining, and they're always fun to watch. Even when you put her in there against somebody who she appears to be overmatched with, like she's been in a couple of these last fights when her opponent's escaping me, but when she had the main event fight last year, I can't think of who it was against, but she was just she's getting beat up a little bit, but she just had that like warrior spirit the whole time and was just in her face and was just going for it the whole time. And it was at the very end of the fight, you're like, wow. I think I'm more of a fan of Michelle Waterson for losing this fight than even if like she would have been able to pull it off. Like she had that like just like never give up on herself. And for a vet to be able to still show that in fights, I feel like that's a really big thing against these lesser known, unproven talents and stuff. And that's what I think makes me lean her direction in this one is I feel like did you pull it up, Kyle? I seen you clicking away. I don't know if you were looking it up or not.
Looking up what?
But I feel like that's the difference for me. Who her last opponent was?
No, I'm
Seen you
typing
said
tags.
type it as soon as I.
It's Lemos.
Yeah, I got it here, but
And Lemos.
Lemos, that's what it was. Yeah, a absolute powerhouse in the division, and she was hanging in there, man. She was taking some shots, but she was not allowing the upcomer to just go in there and take her spot without a fight. And I feel like that's what's going to stop her from allowing that to happen in this fight, should I say.
You taking Waterson too?
Yeah.
I'm with you guys on this one, man. I don't want to see her go down, but this is another one. She needs this win. She's lost 4 out of the last 5. She's got to get this one. So, like you said, the vet, she ain't letting her take off with her flag yet. So, hopefully, she can pull it off. I'm gonna take Waterson on this one too.
It's always wild when you see these kind of fights too, because it's almost like she's the it's like the last fight to kind of like see if she can put her out the way almost.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
it's gonna be an interesting
real
one.
MMA fans, people that have been here for a little while. I mean, Michelle Waterson's been around forever. I mean, literally forever, and she still seems like she's improving in aspects of her game, even still to this day. So, I'm still a big fan of her, and I don't think she's at. I agree with what you're saying in the fact of they keep putting her in these matchups to see, but I feel like from what I've seen, she's not there yet. Even if win, lose, draw, whatever the case, this performance may show me something different, but from what I've seen, she's not at that point yet.
I agree. So on to the main card. We've got the Boy Wonder who fought against our guy Mondo Gutierrez, Raul Rosas Jr. versus Christian Rodriguez. They've got this guy at a minus 225 favorite. Good Lord.
Minus 225.
Yeah,
I'm looking on
kid.
DraftKings right now. As of right this second on DraftKings, they have him at minus 240. So the line's moving.
Damn.
But I mean, it's kind of hard to argue, man. The dude's he's a phenom. He's just.
I'm not saying he's not, dude, but damn. Like they're playing Rodriguez out like he ain't never been in the UFC before.
Right.
I don't know how to feel about this one, man. I really honestly don't, because of the fact, like, I hate even criticizing the kid because he is still a kid. He's still improving in so many aspects of his game.
Shit, he ain't fighting like a kid.
No, and he's not. And if anything, that's what I was just about to say is I feel like with that youth and freshness and the ability to still learn so much in between such, short time frames, we could see a totally different version. And it's only been 3-4 months since his last fight. We could see him truly improve on his striking game. We could see different aspects in his takedown game. He's already really great with being able to take opponents' backs and chasing submissions and stuff. So I feel like if he's able to round out his submissions in this, man, or round out his striking game, that is, he'll end up moving into that upper echelon of the UFC bantamweights. But with that being said, man, Christian Rodriguez he's a really, really entertaining, interesting fighter. His only loss in the UFC is to JSP, which is the 135 kind of boogeyman that nobody really talks about. So it's interesting, man. I feel like the kid's going to be able to get it done because of the fact that I feel he's already very skilled. And I feel like what I said before with the fact that he's able to improve so much in between fights. But that's also the case with Christian Rodriguez, who if I'm not mistaken, he's only like 21 or something. So he's also a young cat himself. He's had a decent time between his last fight. So it's not like he's coming in here just he had more time to improve his skills and round out. It's an interesting fight. I'm going to go Raul Rosas because I feel like that's where the hype train's behind, and I feel like the momentum, to Kyle's point, is a very real thing. But I'm not I'm surprised the line's not bigger because of how big his hype train is, not because of how the fight is. If you get what I mean by that.
Who you got, J-Bone?
I'm taking Rosas Jr. by sub round
By
one.
sub.
Taking the prop. He's gonna submit him in round one.
I mean,
Oh, boy.
it's just such a big, not such a big, right? Because he already has taken on some very notable talent and stuff. But it is a very different fight for him. The fact that now he's taking on somebody who actually has some wins in the UFC and actually does know what it's like to have that momentum. Like I say, is also has youth on his side, has really good training partners. I've heard Anthony Pettis and stuff talking about him all week and stuff. Basically, in every one of his interviews leading off the Gamebred fight. So I don't know, man. Kyle, what do you think on this one?
I just was trying to look into Rodriguez's last fight real quick. Okay. So Rodriguez's last
Josh
fight
Wells.
was
I just looked it up.
Josh Weems.
Weems.
Okay. So he's coming off a submission in his last fight. He's got Rosas in this one. Rosas is got one submission after that. I mean, it's pretty even if you really look at it.
That's what I mean. It's an interesting young talent fight, but I feel like the momentum being what it is, and being that
I
the
agree,
fan
and
push is so big.
I'm the one that's always preaching momentum, so I'm gonna go with Rosas, but man, I'm not 100% sold though, because I think it's a lot more closer of a matchup than people are gonna give it credit for.
It seems like Vegas is noting that as well, with the fact that that line isn't something crazy. It's not like we're seeing a Cosmat fight where he's taking on a good opponent that people know and he's still a minus 1,000 or some shit. You know, like this is still a somewhat competitive line that people are still interested enough in putting money in. Obviously, to your point, J-Bone, with it, you know, continuing to increase. So.
All right, so next up you got Kevin Holland and Santiago Ponzinibbio. And here, this fight's interesting, man, because it's more of the kind of fight that Kevin Holland wants. But here's the thing, though, dude. Ponzinibbio is coming off a nasty-ass win. And Kevin Holland's coming off a loss here. So, I don't know, man. It's really interesting to me to see where that's going to go. Oh, and and that fight's on this card too. Ooh, Joe Pyfer and Gerald Meerschaert. I like that fight.
Yeah, I was surprised you skipped over that. I was going to actually.
I like that fight. Body Bag Pyfer. I like that. I'm rocking with Body Bag Pyfer. G, rocking with Body Bag Pyfer.
If we're gonna give a quick breakdown on that one, I'm really unsure with. That's what I always say with these big pay-per-view fights. This is how I feel with a lot of these fights tonight. Is I'm really unsure with how they're gonna go, which I guess leads to they did a great job with matchmaking, I guess. But yeah, man, this being another one, I feel like GM3, such a proven guy, but he's not proven in the fact that he doesn't always show up. Sometimes he just doesn't look like he's there. Sometimes he just isn't that killer that we've seen him be in some of his fights and just really chase subs, get people out of there. I mean, I'm a big fan of GM3. I like Gerald Meerschaert. I really honestly do, but I feel like, to your point, Kyle, that momentum again, baby. Joe Pyfer being that character that being the character that has already been built up about him, and he's only got one actual UFC fight and one Contender Series fight. So I feel like
he looked flawless in them motherfuckers, though.
He did. He did, and that's where I am leaning his direction. Even though I'm a fan of GM3, I feel like depending on what version,
I won money off him before.
Yeah, depending on what version of Gerald Meerschaert we see, it could very well be a tough fight, especially if it gets out of the first round. Gerald Meerschaert's not always the fastest starter, but once he gets it going, he's usually in there. But I still lean Pfeiffer's direction.
I think we're all on the same
on.
hand on that one. In this next fight, like I say, you got Ponzinibbio and Kevin Holland. I'm going Santiago Ponzinibbio, homeboy. That's where I see
All
this
right.
one. Keep
All
that
right.
momentum train rolling, and if you're going to put the odds like that on them, give them to me.
What's the
Give 'em
odds
to
right
me,
now?
give
What
it
are
to
they
me.
sitting at?
They got them at a plus 205.
205. God damn, for what
Give
I
them
feel
to me,
like
give
should
them
be
to
a
me, give
pick'em
them to me,
fight.
give them to me. Bang, 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 bang. Let's go.
Man, I thought that was going to be a pick'em. I was probably going to throw Kevin Holland's name on my 3-picker, but
Well,
with
you've
that
got
being
one
the
of my
case,
picks.
that changes it for sure. Because that being said, man, I feel like Kevin Holland, entertaining as hell, skill doesn't always meet where I feel like it could be. I don't want to say should be because he is fairly still young in his MMA career, but where his talent shows that it could be and where it's shown that it can be in some of his fights isn't where we always see him. And I feel like if we see that lesser version of Kevin Holland come out on Saturday night, I feel like, yeah, Ponzinibbio is probably going to be able to get it done. If we see a version of Kevin Holland who actually has figured out how to use his range and not just put his whole body behind his punch and then put himself in awkward positions, I feel like if he doesn't do that, he very well might be able to land some serious power on Ponzinibbio, who has had some chin issues in the past. He's been knocked out, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 3 in a row before this streak that he's been able to, not streak, but the win that he's been able to accrue since. So I feel like I want to lean Kevin Holland because of the potential of damage. But man, yeah, Ponzinibbio is he's a real threat. And I feel like with him as in Kevin Holland being outstruck as bad as he was in his last fight against Wonder Boy, maybe the confidence might not be as high as it usually is with the big mouth character that is Kevin Holland. So, with the line being the way it is, if I was a betting man,
My parlay is already set, Playboy. I just
Yeah.
looked at DraftKings. I already got mine set, so I am good for a parlay.
If I was a betting man, I would say Ponzinibbio, but the heartbeat in there says I want Kevin Holland to get it done come Saturday. So we shall see.
All right, J-Bone, who you got?
Wrong guy's favorite in this one, dude. Ponzinibbio is going to go in there. He's going to tear him apart. I like Corey, like you said, I don't think the confidence is there in Holland's striking anymore.
I think he just wanted this fight because he thought the style of fight would favor him.
And that's exactly what it is. This guy, we all know it's going to be a stand-up, bang-em type of fight.
Yeah.
I think Holland's going to get caught, man.
In Ponzinibbio's last fight, though, Alex Morono, because that's who I was backing in that fight. I feel like Alex Morono was one of those guys that was on the ascension in the division, and he had him hurt in that fight. He had Ponzinibbio hurt, and I actually thought the fight was going to be over at that point, but Ponzinibbio was able to push through it, and not only that, was able to get the finish of his own. So he proved me wrong a little bit in that last fight, and that's where I'm honestly, I feel like this is more of how I was saying with that Raul Rosas Jr. fight is normally when you have a big fan favorite like this, even though the fight doesn't necessarily seem like the odds should be that direction, I feel like that's what we're seeing in this fight is maybe the odds shouldn't be where they actually are, but he's such a fan favorite that it's inflated odds.
Yeah.
Like I said, man, I'll take it because once I reveal what my parlay is, you'll win you some money if you fuck around and find out. But with that being said, if you guys are watching, fuck around and find out, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, because like I said, we've got some heat coming for you this Tuesday. Detroit Red Wings legend Darren McCarty will be joining us after his 6-man tag against Bully Ray on Impact Wrestling. We're going to be talking about that this Tuesday. We were supposed to have Mitch McKee on here tonight before his fight for LFA. He is going to be looking to rebook soon. He had a little bit of an injury. Shout out to Mitch McKee. Also, we talked a little bit about WWE 2K23 and all that good stuff. And now we are giving you our rundown on UFC 287 and our picks for the fights. The next fight on the docket, you got Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez.
Another banger.
Man, yeah, I love this one. I love this one. But this is another one, man. Real fucking wishy-washy on it, though. Honestly, I don't know which direction to go. Yet again, another case of the proven talent that is Rob Font. In this case, I don't feel like he's somebody that we don't always see the best of or something like that. He always goes out there and shows Rob Font. Sometimes it doesn't win. Sometimes it's not the best fight, but it's Rob Font going out there whether he's victorious or not. With Yanez, though, I feel like he's got so many intangibles that lead him to potentially having a higher ceiling. And that's what makes me want to lean in that direction is I feel like Yanez, being the younger guy, being that he hasn't taken the damage and stuff that Font has, his boxing style is so interesting. His ability to apply pressure while countering is such an interesting thing to me. I know, Kyle, you can probably notice that watching his fights and stuff with your boxing background. His style is just it works very well for the MMA cage, especially with the small gloves, man. He really knows how to step when power is necessary and when it's the right time. He knows how to step into these shots and get people kind of off balance and feeling the power. And I feel like that'll be the difference in this fight. Is I feel like Rob Font will be able to land some solid shots. It may even be like what that Cheeto fight was, where Rob Font was landing significantly more volume. But with Yanez's just ability to cut angles and land off of land in different spots that Rob Font's not going to be expecting him to be able to land from, I feel like that'll be the difference in this fight.
I like it. So you got Rob Font?
Yeah, no, Yanez.
Okay, you have Yanez. Okay. I like Rob Font, man, but I
me
feel
too.
like,
that's why it was hard. It's hard for me to even say that pick, but you know, you got to do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, and I mean, I just feel like that was a rough fight for him in his last fight. I've got the last Adesanya Pereira fight playing over here in the background. J-Bone, I'll let you take that one first.
Like you said, man, I think we're all on the same page here. It's hard to go against Rob Font because he's such a, his style is great. I love his hands, man, but it's another momentum thing here. Yanez is on a 5-fight winning streak. Font's on a 2-fight losing streak. Considering who he lost against, I mean, dude lost against Cheeto Vera, and I think it was Jose Aldo before that. So, yeah, you're fighting the top guys, but momentum is a thing. And I think this one, it's going to be one of those fights we want it to be stylistically just out there throwing hands, but I think it's going to be very precise. It's like a surgeon, you know what I mean, with the hands out there. This one's going to be that fight that cancels out all that. It's going to go to decision, but I'm taking Yanez by decision.
Yeah.
Okay. Like
looking into it, I and looking down the records and things like that, I think I'm going to go Yanez as well on this one. I think Rob Font is still going to be tough. He's still going to be a game. It's going to be a good fight, but that momentum, I talk about it all the time. And I mean, him coming off 2 losses, whether they're, to top talent or not, that's still 2 losses to be coming off of, to be going against a guy who's on momentum streak. So I'm going to go with Yanez in that fight.
We'll definitely see where Yanez is actually at. Coming off of this fight, whether win, lose, or draw, we'll see where Yanez is actually at. And I feel like that's the biggest question that'll need to be answered Saturday is where is he actually at when you put him against top 10 level guys.
Yep.
All right. Now, if you guys pay attention to the title of this, I said, is this the end of Street Jesus? So with that being said, what are your thoughts on Jorge Masvidal
in Miami too? Are they going to do him like that in Miami though?
I like Masvidal. Don't get it twisted, bro. But like, this is gonna be a tough ass fight.
And it's not even just Gilbert Burns. It's freaking Afro Gilbert Burns, right? The dude is on another level since he's had that throw. The way he just went in there and ran through Neil Magny like he wasn't even a real opponent, like he wasn't even like in his realm of competition. It showed me a lot, man. That last fight really did show me a lot, and I feel like a lot of people are just kind of glossing over that one going into this fight. I feel like Gilbert Burns, man, everybody knows he's dangerous, but they just keep talking about the Kazmat fight and how, this, that, and the other. But I feel like, yeah, he was able to give Kazmat a tough fight, but that's a totally different style matchup than what we're going to see with somebody like Jorge Masvidal. It's interesting to me, at least. I guess it makes sense, right? If you're Masvidal, you kind of give it one big last hurrah towards the title. And win, lose, or draw, you can at least say you went out there swinging, and compared to taking on a lesser competition and then potentially losing a matchup like that. But man, Gilbert Burns is a hell of a fighter to be taken on when you're coming off of the long layoff, the whole legal situation with Colby and stuff like that. The fact that Colby was kind of able to just dog him around for 5 rounds last fight. I don't know, man. I want to say the 305 Angel, Jorge Masvidal, is able to get it done in his hometown. You can see all the fans going crazy for him and stuff already, but I just feel like this matchup's not the style matchup for him. I feel like Gilbert Burns he's not somebody who just gets bullied around or allows somebody to just outstrike him or something like that. Gilbert Burns puts you in positions where you're not gonna win the fight, put it that way, and I feel like that's what we're gonna see come Saturday. So I got Burns.
Who you got, J-Bone?
I'm with you, man. I've been watching these embeds, the vlogs, the countdowns. I see Masvidal so focused on the fact that we're in Miami and it's his hometown and the fans. I see him focused a lot on that alone, and it's just not it's not fight focus, man. You know what I mean? And like you said, Kyle, coming off that layoff, he hasn't fought since March of 2022. So the whole thing with Kobe, you got the thing with Holland. I don't know if you guys seen the last embedded episode, but he's jabbing at Holland up by the elevators. Like, dude's mind doesn't seem like it's on the fight. It's everything around it. So for me, and like you said, take all that away, you still have a tall task in Gilbert Burns, dude. That guy is a killer. And I think that's where we're going come Saturday, man. I think I'm going to take the prop on this one too, but I think Burns is going to tap him out, choke him out.
Yeah.
So
I like that pick. And I also, what kind of makes me also feel like lean towards Burns that much more is every time Jorge Masvidal has been kind of asked about the fight with Burns and stuff like that, is I'm just going to punch his face off. I'm just going to go in there and punch him some more and punch him some more. And I'm like, man, with somebody like Burns who brings so many different aspects to the game, you can't just expect to go out there and just outbox the dude. I don't think that's how the fight's going to just play out for you, bud. So,
yeah. And honestly, I think Burns is going to put the pressure on him. I think he's going to go out there and smother him, try to get him out of there quick, man. I don't think George is ready for it, to be honest. So that's my pick. We'll be a lot of disappointed Miamians on Saturday, if you ask me.
Yeah.
All right, I'm kind of leaning the same way you guys are. I think if Masvidal wins, it's going to be a Masvidal type thing where he catches a knockout or something like that. But if not, I think Gilbert Burns is going to put the pause on him, and then after that, it's going to be between him and Bilal for who gets the next title shot. Although Bilal, they're trying to give him the last killer to maybe knock him off the throne and Rahman off, but I think in this one, this may be the end of Street Jesus. I mean, hey, like I said, I'm a Masvidal fan, but Gilbert Burns is a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Side note, I just want to say this again. I know we said it a long time ago. Give Bilal the damn title shot. This guy, every time I hear his name, it just redoes it in my brain.
It's like him and Bernil Dariush, bro.
he deserves so much more than what he has right now, man. Just give him this title shot.
I agree. I feel like they should have ran that Leon Edwards fight back initially when the eye poke thing happened.
Yeah.
And because now it just has kind of been this thing that's just been kind of left floating in the air. And with Bilal being on the streak that he's on, I can't argue it. My only thing is it just sucks as a fan because literally when I was breaking down the Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman fight, I was like, imagine how sick it would actually be though if Leon Edwards takes on Colby, and now this is the matchup that we get. So like as a fan, I love the Colby matchup, but as a like fan of Bilal and a fan of sport and like what's right and stuff like that, it probably should be Bilal, but I still like the Colby matchup, and maybe that's just selfish on me.
Didn't mean to get us off there, but yeah, I think we all can agree Bilal deserves a title shot.
Yeah. Like I said, you can't argue that, dude. Like I said, we rock with Bilal there, but I also see the appeal just in the shit talk and all that from Colby Covington as well. All right, main event time. I've got the first fight playing in the background here. I'm into round 4. There's 2 minutes and 2 seconds left of round 4. Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya, man. Good Lord, is this an important fight for Izzy? Because now has this guy not only beaten him twice, but if he beats him twice, he's going to be in the same problem as Kamaru Usman. And think about that. You go from they don't want to fight each other, so they'll never fight for champ to where if Izzy loses this, they're both in the exact same spot where they lost this dude twice and got to go to the back of the line. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on this fight?
It's wild, man. It really is wild from Izzy to for Izzy to fall from grace the way he has, from going to being this like the next Anderson Silva. He's that next guy in the division. He's that next like long reigning champ. The way he was able to take on one of my personal favorite fighters in Robert Whittaker and just kind of dismantle him in the first one. And in the second one, even though it was a lot more competitive, and I personally feel like Rob did a lot of really good things, I understood why they scored it for Izzy in that second fight. But Izzy just seemed like that guy that was going to be so hard to get out of there, and it was going to be like some by God circumstance that happens that he's going to lose. He's going to, have an injury out there or something like that. Well, it turned out he's going to have some boogeyman that followed him all the way back from his kickboxing career to now go basically get a huge push in the UFC 185 division. Only has to fight, 3 times or some shit? Gets pushed into the, I think it might have been 4, actually, now that I think about it. But then gets pushed right into the title bout, gets semi-favorable matchups on his way up as well, and then does the unthinkable, actually repeats the same thing he did in kickboxing and knocks out somebody we all thought was potentially like unbeatable at the time. He was really, at least at 185. At 205, that fight with Jan was a different thing, but at 185, it looked like nobody was going to be able to catch up to him.
Yeah, he did it in 3 fights.
And now, like you say, it's 3-0, and now you're like, you can't even call him your rival at this point because you haven't beat him. Like I think DC said it in one of his interviews or something. He got questioned about his rivalry with John Jones, and he said, "It's not a rivalry, man. He beat me every time." And that's what this one kind of feels like to me. I feel like Pereira might just have his number. I really do. I feel like Izzy outskilled him. He looked better in that third fight between the two of them. I feel like he was clearly winning, like everybody else has kind of said in the lead up to this fight. And then he lost. And I don't know if that changes this time. I feel like he can do the same thing, look really good, and still get caught. He can also avoid the shot and potentially find his way to the cards in the 5th round. But I feel like the way that Pereira fights and the way that they're both so long, lengthy. Pereira puts on more pressure. Izzy always leans back and doesn't necessarily use his hands in his defense and just relies on the fact that he's long sometimes. I feel like the style matchups, man, it's such a big thing at this higher level of the game is styles. How do they actually mesh? And body types, especially in this matchup. And I feel like that's all of that stuff leads towards Pereira again. I feel like that's what we're going to see come Saturday night, but yet again, wishy-washy, unsure, because Izzy could definitely get it done. He could definitely go in there.
I mean, Izzy was
him
beating him for
and
like
not
4
get hit.
rounds, man.
And didn't get hit up to that point. He didn't really like take any of that damage and stuff other than the leg kick when his leg went dead on him. I believe 4th or 5th round. Other than that, there wasn't.
And like
any
I
real
said,
sign
I'm in
of
the
damage.
I'm in the 5th round with 3 minutes. Oh shit! And he just hit him. He just hit him right as I said that. Right at about 3 minutes in. Oh, right at the finish.
I love
Bang.
it, man. The most
Roast
unpredictable
beef.
sport in the
Bang,
world.
bang,
Love it.
bang. Oh man, that was gnarly, dude.
Since you're watching it back right now, did you agree with the stoppage? Did you think that as a champion he should have had a little bit of a longer leash, or do you think
maybe a few
was
more
justified?
seconds, but he was hurt.
He was hurt. He was definitely hurt, and I feel like
maybe
if
a few
anything,
more seconds, but not like I'm not mad at it either.
Yeah, you don't want to see him go out face first just because of the sake
That's
of
exactly
giving him
what I
an
said.
couple
That's
seconds.
exactly what I
you
said.
know?
A few more seconds in there, he probably would have been face first on the mat. It wouldn't have been pretty. We don't want to see him like that. So I think the stop was fine. But I'll tell you
Who
what.
are you taking this one?
Go ahead, Corey. Get your pick before
Corey did. He got Pereira.
I said Pereira. Yeah, I think Pereira's gonna. I think he's just got his number, man. I do.
So for me, this one, Izzy's back's against the wall. Like he has no other way to go. You have to win this fight. This is now your legacy. Like you said, it's not a rivalry if he loses this fight. So it's do or die. I think that's going to create a very dangerous Israel Adesanya. I mean, we've seen in this fight, man. There was a point, it was the end of the 2nd or 3rd round, Kyle, when he hit Pereira and he was out on his feet. If it wasn't for the
end of the 1st,
done, dude, he was done. If there was 10 more seconds in that fight, we'd be talking a whole different story right now. So this fight, Izzy has to go out there. He has to do it quick. You cannot go to those championship rounds because we know he gets stronger. He's a very big guy. We've already talked about that. You do not want to drag him into deep waters in the 5th round because he's even more dangerous. We've seen that. So Izzy needs to go out there and get it done fast. And I think that's what's going to happen. I know we're all leaning towards Pereira here, but I think this is the comeback fight for Izzy. I think he's going to regain the championship, man. I think he's going to do it in round 2. If I'm giving props, I'm going to do round 2 by TKO.
So I like it. It's hard to argue with, really, because he did outskill him, and the fact that when we've seen Izzy in those fights where he actually like turns it on, he does always get people out of there. So we shall see. But go on, Kyle.
So after watching that fight again, Izzy was really winning most of that fight. You could definitely see Pereira had a little bit more power. There was a lot more wrestling in this fight than you're usually seeing from an Israel Adesanya. But with that being said, man, I feel like Izzy's going to get the job done. But that being said, well,
it's such a tough call.
That momentum, though, I always say that with momentum, and
But I feel like when you're talking about you only lost one fight, and it's a
With that being said, I'm going to go with Adesanya. But I mean, if he caught him and knocked him out again, I wouldn't be surprised. So I'm going to go with Adesanya. But I'm going to say that if you were going to lay a prop on Pereira, it might be to go by knockout.
Yeah. Besides the main event, boys, what's the favorite fight of the night?
Oh, I'll go first. I'm looking forward to Rosas Jr., man. Like I said, the kid's a phenom. I'm entertained every time, and my eyes are on this dude. Let's hope he continues to rise to the top. You know, because we definitely need that next big star coming up. We got Hamzat, but he's at a spot now, and we all seen it happen. You get to that top spot, and it's like you're kind of just stagnant until they figure out what they're going to do with you. Right now, we're going to get the best view we can of this kid because he's going to keep getting fight after fight after fight to ride that momentum wave, man. So I'm here for it. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I like it.
I think for me, I like Chris Curtis versus Gastelum. I like Chris Curtis versus Gastelum, or I like Holland versus Ponzinibbio.
Okay, so I guess I'm the only one with. I'm on the island
Bagger
looking
too.
forward to that.
Whole card stack.
I mean, none of which are bad options. I just want to say that none of which are bad options. But I just feel like I like what you were just saying, J-Bone, with the whole prospects thing. I feel like Yanez is like 3 steps higher up that ladder. He's at that rung now where he's taking on top level competition, and I want to see if the young cat can do it, man. Shout out Adrian Yanez. I like him, man. He talks real good on the mic, and his skills are real good in the ring as well.
All right, those of you guys who are jumping in, what fights are you looking forward to? UFC 287. All we've got left is our parlays. Like I said, I feel like I've got the winner parlay.
How
what
many
do y'all got?
You go on the full 5 fight card? Are you doing 3, or what are you doing?
I did a 3-leg parlay.
Okay.
Let's hear it, Kyle. Since yours is already in there, let's hear it.
You want to put some money in your pocket? You got to follow Kyle's parlay. Let's go.
I already put bread on it too. I took Joe Pyfer, Chris Curtis, and Santiago Ponzinibbio. If you do that, you're looking at plus 856 odds. For $10, I'm going to win a hundo on that bitch. Let's go.
That sounds like very, very winnable. You said Joe Pyfer, Chris Curtis, and what was the last one again?
Ponzinibbio.
Yeah, I could see that going. I mean, that's what this card in particular is so hard for me to make a parlay on because of the whole wishy-washy back and forthness, man. There really is so many where I feel like this isn't the card. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't be making parlays. I would be making singles. I would be doing, like you say, Jordan, with some of your picks in there. I would be going props and stuff like that because I feel like that's where the money is to be made.
Oh, I'm still going to do that too. I'm just
giving my analyst opinion over here is I feel like with the fact that so many of these are closely matched, I feel like it's going to be hard to hit. Maybe not a 3-leg parlay; those are a little easier. But once you get into the 4s and 5s and stuff, man, they're so closely contested. It's going to be hard. I feel like to pull off one of those. But for me, I feel like I wanted to throw Gastelum in there. I really did. Once you guys brought it up, and then you guys kind of talked me out of that shit with the with the whole time off and stuff, man. I didn't realize it had been 2 years. That's a long time. 2 years is a long time. A lot can happen in 2 years. So I'll swap him out. I'll throw somebody I'm a little more confident in anyway. I'll throw in Michelle Watterson. I feel like she's going to be able to get it done. So we'll start there. The Raul Rosas Jr. one, I want to because of the whole, I feel like he's going to be able to get it done, momentum stuff and all that, but them odds being the way they are, makes it a little tougher to do. But I feel like that Adrian Yanez fight's probably going to be the same way. I feel like they just respect that upcoming prospects sometimes a little high.
So who did you say, Michelle Watterson, who?
Michelle Watterson, Adrian Yanez, Gilbert Burns. Those are my 3. I didn't get the full analysis on the last one, but I feel like you heard it already. I feel like Gilbert Burns is going to be too much for Jorge Masvidal. So
you're looking at plus 356 odds.
Man, I'll take it.
What do you got, J-Bone?
All right, man. So I'm a prop guy. I love to chase the props. I'm chasing the money. This is probably why they don't, you shouldn't follow my bets. But on this one, you should, because we're going to win a lot of money. You're going to buy yourself a car this weekend. Look at me talking all my shit. So the first one,
Don't you need to do that, sir?
I was about to say I need to take my own advice.
That's
Hey,
why
look.
he said that.
That's why I said it, man. So first one, we're taking Rosas Jr. by sub. Go ahead and take the prop on that one because I feel like that's gonna be an easy one. I feel like take him by submission. Fight number 2. I'm doing the whole card, by the way. 5 fights.
Oh,
I like it.
Let's go. Second one, Adrian Yanez. I'm just gonna take him on the money line. That's gonna be, like I said earlier.
Ooh, here's one for you on the ones to play with. Just because I'm looking here, if you took
Hard to get out. So.
Raul Rosas
Rosas.
by submission, and you take Gilbert Burns by submission, it's plus 761.
See.
Yeah.
All right. So what I say first? Rosas Jr. by sub. We're gonna take that one. Then we're gonna take Adrian Yanez money line. I'm gonna take Ponzinibbio money line. That's a plus 200, dude. It's kind of hard to look over that those odds, bro. So get it now. I feel like I could change tomorrow. Number 4, Gilbert Burns by submission. Got to take the prop on that one. And then number 5, Izzy regains a strap by TKO. Brings this parlay to a staggering plus 15,976. You put $5 on that parlay, you're walking out with $800, baby. Let's win some money. We're buying vehicles. Throw a 20 on it. Screw it. We'll throw a 20. I get you $3,000.
There you go.
Thank me later. You just bought yourself a beater of a car with my parlay.
I don't know if you guys watch the Ariel Helwani show, but GC on their betting guy, he always shows the big hitters on the week and stuff, man. And some of these guys, they'll throw together some parlays, and I wish I could just get some of their bet slips before the actual card takes place. You know what I mean? Let me join in on that fun, man. I'll throw $100 and maybe it don't work out, but if it works out like that, because some of these guys are mystical out there. I don't know how they're predicting some of that shit.
Yeah.
Look, I ain't gonna hold you up. I just threw some money on that Rosas and Gilbert Burns by submissions joint real quick too. So let's go. If I win out on these two, bro, we're gonna be sitting good, bro. We're gonna be at about $200 off of $20.
There you go.
$200 off of $20. Let's go. Let's go. I need to win some money because I spent all my money in LA. But that's why I gotta go back to slinging the mail tomorrow. But until then, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Like I said, the homie, Detroit's own, Darren McCarty, is going to be coming back through here this Tuesday to talk about his 6-man alongside the innovator of violence, Tommy Dreamer, Yuya Uemura, against Bully Ray and the good hands, John Schuyler, and a guy you see around here a whole bunch in Jason Hodge. We're going to talk about that with him this Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Next Thursday, he's known for dropping warheads on people's fucking foreheads. It's going to be Bulletproof Troop bringing his ass back through here. Knockouts and 3 counts, fresh off of NWA 312 going down in Chi-Town. Shout out to Chicago Rob. Thanks for having my back. We didn't need to mob that guy. Until next time and in the in-between time, peace, love, and chicken trees. It's too sweet.